Welcome to Varsity Nutrition. I'm Derek Marks, and in this Ergogenic Aid episode, we're going to talk about creatine. Creatine, probably the most popular, most successful ergogenic aid out there right now. It has not been knocked off its pedestal for 15, 20 years. It pretty much lives up to all the hype, if you're wondering. So what is creatine? Creatine is an amino acid derivative from two amino acids, glycine and arginine. Not so important to know necessarily. What happens with creatine is it binds to a phosphate and creates a molecule of phosphocreatine. And what phosphocreatine does, for those of you that follow metabolism, phosphocreatine is a fuel source for explosive movement. So phosphocreatine can give our muscles energy immediately. So when you are exploding off the line, if you're jumping, kicking, throwing, hitting, explosive movements rely on phosphocreatine as an energy source to allow your muscles to access energy at that highest rate. So when we take creatine, the goal is to maximize creatine concentration in our muscles, thereby giving us more of that phosphocreatine, thereby giving us more of the fuel source to do those high intensity efforts. So when we take creatine successfully, it will improve high intensity efforts. Sprints, you won't be faster, but you can sprint longer at top speed, and you can recover more quickly and do a sprint again at top speed for a longer amount of time. It assists with resistance training. It won't make you stronger, but if you can lift a certain weight a certain number of times, creatine will allow you to push it maybe one or two more reps. That's meaningful. It makes explosive maneuvers also more successful, meaning jumping, kicking, throwing. Again, it doesn't make us bigger, faster, or stronger. It allows us to train harder. And by training harder, we're going to adapt to that training. So you can't just sit on the couch and consume creatine and expect to get bigger, faster, stronger. It is the tool or the key maybe that unlocks the ability to train harder, thereby adapting to that training. The drawbacks of creatine use are far and few between. Creatine, when it goes into your muscles to get stored, it brings water with it. So most athletes will gain a little bit of water weight with creatine. Depending on you and your sport, that may or may not be meaningful. Some athletes report getting some stomach cramping when they take creatine in higher doses. That's usually solved by spreading creatine doses out throughout the day instead of just doing one massive load. Who is creatine for? I think it's for all athletes, really. Nearly all sports. Mixed sports, your soccer, lacrosse, basketball, all those mixed sports, absolutely yes. Baseball, softball, tennis, yes. Endurance sports, there's a bit of a question there with endurance athletes. I argue, at least in the off season for endurance athletes, doing cross training, trying to maybe develop increased muscle endurance, maybe a little bit more muscle power. Creatine can be really beneficial, maybe not take it so much during season. It is definitely most effective for sports that rely on high intensity efforts for success. How do you use creatine? Creatine is a weight-based dose. So depending on your size, that's going to determine how much creatine you need to take. It's usually in the neighborhood of about 5 to 10 grams a day once you get past the loading phase. And so look at the label, look at the instructions on the creatine that you may have purchased. I recommend creatine monohydrate. I know there's other versions out there, and I don't like to stack it with much. So just clean, straight creatine monohydrate. Read the labels. It'll tell you based on your weight how much you should take. Should you do a loading phase? That's a personal decision. A loading phase is usually where you double up on your creatine dose for the first 5 to 7 days of taking creatine to really saturate the muscles quickly. And then you take a maintenance phase, which is about half of that loading phase. Research tells us that if you skip the loading phase and just do the maintenance phase from the beginning, you're still going to get the benefits. It just might take a little bit longer until you start to fully see them. So up to you. I recommend athletes take creatine for 8 to 10 weeks, 8 to 12 weeks at the most. When the muscles are saturated with creatine for a really long time and you're constantly consuming creatine in supplemental form, the body gets creative and starts to use creatine for other things. So it's recommended that after about 8 to 12 weeks, give your body a break. let creatine sort of leave your muscles a little bit, and then reintroduce it. So after that week or so off, then start taking creatine again, and your muscles will get resaturated with it. So a lot of athletes wonder, should I take it post training? When should I take creatine? The research out there isn't super conclusive. Like, this is absolutely the best time to take it to get the most benefits. It takes a little while for creatine to work anyway. So a creatine dose that you might take today isn't probably doing much for you until probably tomorrow, right? So I always tell athletes, take it when you're going to remember to take it. So pre or post doesn't really matter. Even for breakfast, it doesn't matter as long as you are consistent with taking it. When you're taking creatine, take it every day, even if during off days, during the phase of taking creatine. So take it every day until it's gone, then do your washout period. Thank you.